Hey YouTube, it is Mark
and Rocky,
and we are
This Cruise Life.
We just spent an amazing 17 days on board Carnival's newest ship,
the Carnival Firenze.
We're going to tell you what we loved,
What we didn't love,
and what we hated. So stick around. Before we start today's review, we just wanted to acknowledge how special it was to be invited to Carnival's naming ceremony for this ship.
It was such an epic experience. We got to meet Christine Duffy. We got to see the ship before any other passengers were on board and really rub elbows with some high dignitaries from Carnival.
We're going to do an entire video about the naming ceremony, the ribbon cutting. So if you haven't already, click that subscribe button because there's going to be a ton more Firenze content coming. But for now, let's get hungry and jump into...
Yes, what we loved about the food. We found so much good food that we loved on board, including Embark Day. When we walked onto the ship, we immediately went to the Michelangelo restaurant at the back of the ship where they had a lunch buffet offered. So good, no lines. It was fantastic.
John Heald mentioned this lunch buffet and everyone was like, what the heck is that? Again, no one knows about it, so if you are in the mood for buffet food, it actually was pretty good.
Right.
I would actually recommend skipping maybe the buffets altogether and going to Tomodoro Mex Italian, first introduced on Carnival Venezia. It's the play on Blue Iguana Cantina.
Oh, yeah.
But it adds... Oh, that Sicilian chicken wrap, my favorite bite of food on board the entire ship. But they've got your burritos, they've got your wraps, they've also got that sandwich that you
had. The torta de Milanese was also delicious.
Meatball sliders, so there's a bunch of additional stuff there.
Right. In that same area, you've got Guy's Burger Joint, which of course we're all familiar with. However, Guy's introduces two new burgers, the pepperoni pizza burger, which was delicious, as well as the super melty moots.
Yep. But it's not just the Carnival favorites that you know. I mean, there's Pizzeria Del Capitano, there's the deli, which we're going to talk about here in a moment, but there's new offerings like Il Mercato.
Like Il Mercato, where you can get your meatballs. You know, Mark loved the meatball, the chicken meatball. And then you've also got the Carnival Deli offerings at that location, plus some hot dog options.
Yes, which were really, really tasty. I did like those. They also introduced Breakfast Shack and Chicken Shack. Not Shack's Big Chicken.
Nope.
Wink, wink. But Breakfast Shack and Chicken Shack open for breakfast and lunch.
Right.
And it had all of the same sandwiches, just not named the same, and you had to kind of build them yourself.
Correct. And then down on deck 5, there's another venue that was introduced on the Venice-class of ships starting on the Venezia, and that is La Strada Grill, Italian street food. So good, quick service, never really a line that you had to wait for. Really good food.
I mean, honestly, you don't have to eat at the buffet even. Oh my gosh! Sea days.
Sea days. Oh, head up to Fresh Creations in Serenity.
That's the build your own salad bar. My only complaint is there aren't enough sea days on these voyages. It's not open nearly enough.
They're definitely not.
But it was delicious. We haven't even gone through all of the food options, really. I mean, there's some upcharge restaurants as well on board. You don't have to eat at the buffet once. Again, highly recommend stopping at Tomodoro. Check it out. Stop by Chicken Shack. Check that out. Like, there are just so many good included places. We definitely gained some weight on this cruise. Oh, and one cruise tip I want to add in for you omelet lovers. Ooh. Breakfast Shack at the aft of the ship actually has an omelet station in the morning that no one knew about. So while there were lines in the Lido marketplace, I would walk up every single morning and I would get my ham and cheese omelet without a line.
And while you're there, check out their amazing brioche French toast.
Ooh, that's right. Oh, and those fries. Yes. Okay. What other dining on board?
On our first cruise, the 7 nights, we actually did assigned time dining. And we actually sat with some table mates that were amazing.
Oh, Brian
and David, thank you for being such great dining companions. We really had a great time exploring the menus with you. We also had some great servers. Rendra, Idua took such great care of us in the Medici restaurant in the middle of the ship. We had a fantastic time.
Rendra even brought me some spices from his home country to try because he knew how much I liked spicy food. For future sailings, we moved into anytime dining, and so we had Samir, who took great care of us. He introduced us to the non-veg Indian option. So every night we had chicken dishes for our Indian chicken or lamb. Delicious, highly recommend that. The food is your classic Carnival fare in the main dining room. I will say the feedback around Emerald's changes to the dining room I would say holds true. We're not in the didn't love section, but there were multiple dishes that we just didn't love from Emerald's Touch. And so we're hoping that Carnival figures this out. Overall, the food in the main dining room was phenomenal.
It was very good.
And the service, we had great service.
Absolutely. And remember, if you're doing anytime dining, if you find a server that you really enjoy, you have the ability to request that server every time you go in there.
Yep. Okay, then when you are done with all of those food options we've listed and you've left the main dining room and you're still hungry, well Il Mercato is open until 11 p.m., so that's awesome.
Pizza.
But then what happens if I'm hungry after 11 p.m.?
So starting at 11:30 going until 1 a.m., you have late night snacks on the main buffet. Oh my gosh, and the food offerings were also really delicious up there. They had deep dish pizza.
Most of them.
They had deep dish pizza, they had chicken tenders, and then they had rotating sandwiches, ham and cheese, grilled cheese, some really great options.
We recorded a video. Check out the entire Firenze playlist for all of that content. We were a little silly. It was 1 a.m, so bear with us in that video. But we tried a lot of... We tried everything.
We tried everything, except for the soup. And lastly, when we're talking about the food, it did not stop there. We found such a great love for swirls this entire sailing. We had swirls more times than I can remember.
Yeah, absolutely. It was delicious. So you're not going to go hungry. Yes, there are upcharge options like Il Viaggio. There's the Steakhouse Fahrenheit 555. There's
the
Seafood
Bonsai
Shack.
Sisters.
The Bonsai Sisters, teppanyaki, and sushi.
Right.
Like, there are plenty of places that you can pay to eat on Carnival Firenze. I don't think you need to.
No, the food was great.
Food is great.
All right, well, let's move into what we loved about the drinks. Starting with Rococo. All right, so obviously it's me, right? Rocky, Rococo. Loved this bar. They had some really awesome frozen slushy drinks that were adult themed. The Limoncello Kiss was exactly that. They had a pistachio cream drink, which I really enjoyed as well. They had a bunch of flavors on tap for their frozen drinks. You can't go wrong.
That's something that I love about this ship, is they've added frozen slushy machines at several of the bars, which really speeds up service so you don't have to wait in lines. That is a great add, Carnival Firenze, and I hope that the other ships across the Carnival fleet will add those as well. But there were 9 options at Rococo Bar.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Speaking of times we enjoyed some drinks, the Diamond and VIFP reunion parties were phenomenal. Alan and Mayun took such great care of us and made sure we didn't go thirsty even once. We had multiple rounds of limoncello to celebrate, fun Italian style. Right. Highly recommend attending those events if you have the status with the cruise line.
Right. Now, we also found Alan hanging out at another bar where he worked his normal shift, and that was Amari Bar. We found ourselves at Amari Bar several times throughout the cruise, hanging with Alan and Carolina, who we've seen before. Both we've sailed with them, and they were just so warm and welcoming anytime we would see them.
And they recognized us. So if you see Carolina or Alan, please tell them Mark and Rocky say hello, and I promise you, they will take good care of you.
Definitely.
One of the other bars that I fell in love with on Carnival Venezia is here on Firenze as well, Frizzante. It is that sparkling effervescence bar. It has a lot of bitter drinks, which I don't love, but I love their espresso martinis. We tried each of the espresso martinis. Mocha was my personal favorite.
I loved the black, and I also really enjoyed the ginger spritz.
There you go. You've got a couple of options. They've actually extended the bar on the ship based on how popular it was on Venezia. So there's plenty of seating and plenty of lounge space where you can hang out and enjoy your cocktail.
Right. And one other thing that I loved, not just about Amari and Frizzante bars, but all of the bars had their own unique menus. So you could walk up to any bar and you can find a whole new option of drinks. It really made it fun to drink your way around the ship.
This was an issue actually we just recently had with MSC. We kind of got bored with the drinks at the bars. On Carnival Firenze, there's something new to try at every single bar. Moda, the new concept at the aft of the ship on Deck 5, amazing. There are several amazing drinks back there. And then we're going to talk about some stuff we didn't love in that space in a little bit. But some amazing drinks back there as well.
Yes.
So you're not going to go hungry. You're not going to go thirsty. Are you going to be bored, Rocky?
Absolutely not. I mean, we did have the option or the opportunity to go to the naming ceremony, which was amazing. And when we took our first steps onto the ship, the day that we were going to set sail, the party on board was absolutely amazing in that atrium. And then Teatro Rosso. Oh my gosh, you are going to love the shows.
Home of so many great shows. Color My World, one of our favorites. We have a video on the channel that you can actually watch the entire show. Love, love, love it. They introduced Dear Future Husband, which was first introduced on Jubilee back in December. It's okay. It's grown on me quite a bit. Actually, we went to see it, I think, every single... We saw it every single sailing, so it has definitely grown on me, and there are going to be numbers in there that you bop around to.
Oh, yeah. And then we also went to the Love and Marriage show. We enjoy this. There's so much laughter that comes from it. And in this case, there was a couple that had just gotten married the days before the cruise, as well as a couple that was married for 70 years.
Kudos to Joey, because that was one of the funniest Love and Marriage shows that I have seen.
Yes.
Also in the theater, of course, you've got your standard bingos, and you've got your other things, your deal or no deal. Yep. You got those, which you can pay to go to those. We didn't, because there was so much other entertainment around the show.
Absolutely true. Like the Captain's Toast.
Cheers.
What a fun event this was. They did a whole gala event where everyone showed up wearing their Venetian-style masks, and it was just a beautiful ceremony.
Hey, get your mask in the link below. Don't pay ship prices for your masks. Cruise tip.
Right.
JC Cicoli,
Oh,
a comedian. Oh my goodness. If she is on your sailing, go. Even go to the PG
Yes,
shows.
she was
She
great.
will have you rolling, I promise. So Punchliner Comedy is on this ship just like it is the rest of the fleet. We always enjoy a good laugh in the theater.
Yes.
The Punchliner Comedy Club, just like the rest of the fleet, it was standing room only at multiple of the shows.
Yes. And then, if you want to do some fun stuff outside, enjoy Carnival Waterworks. Carnival Waterworks was fantastic. They have 3 different slides. The 2 slides that are the tallest ones are the most fun. They're super fast.
And lots of splash pads and
Oh, yeah.
splash areas.
Yeah.
Not to mention the ropes course, the golf course. Like, there's a lot of entertainment just up on deck as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then lastly, if you can't disconnect, I count this as entertainment.
Yeah.
The internet, it has Starlink, it is blazing fast. We uploaded videos, we downloaded videos, we came to you live several times on the ship. Check it out. And so the internet was fantastic on board.
It was. So that's a lot to love about the food, the drinks, and the entertainment. I think we need to talk about the ship itself.
Oh my gosh, the design of the ship, just in general, the design of the ship, whether it's the stateroom or the hallways or the stairwells or the Limelight Lounge is probably my favorite in the entire fleet. The atrium, all around the ship, it is gorgeous. I actually think it takes Venezia up a level. I love the design of the ship.
An embarkation to get onto the ship for our very first sailing was amazing. Very smooth, very easy.
Cruise tip, we always recommend this. Choose the earliest time that is available to you to avoid any backups that have happened. We had the first time slot, and so it was nice and smooth. We did hear some not so great stories later on, though, in future sailings. So just keep that in mind.
True.
Another feature that we love about the Vista-class and Venice-class ships are those forward secret decks. I recorded a little short about those. Don't miss those.
Right. And those cabins, speaking of rich spaces, wonderful, rich, dark woods, gold accents, and we thought it was really neat how they had these unique touches. Interior cabins were red carpeted, and balcony cabins were blue carpeted and ocean views. Kind of a fun little play.
Yeah, super great design. One of the things that we love the most is enjoying the sauna on board. It is included. There is a locker room that has lockers, a bathroom, a shower, and a sauna. It is smaller than Venezia's locker room, though. Keep that in mind, so you don't have that weird bathtub and you don't have the showers, the additional showers, but it is a great space and it is included for everyone. It's included in your cruise fare. We love that.
Yes, and I also loved the smoke-free casino. Oh my gosh, there was never any bleed over of any smoke going into that casino, so we could enjoy our fun play without any issues.
Now, we'll talk about the general casino a little bit later, so stick around for that. The last thing that I just want to mention about the ship is just the merchandise. There was so much great inaugural season merchandise. We loved it. We picked up ornaments, we picked up jackets, we picked up shirts. You are going to find some awesome, awesome merch in that gift shop.
Absolutely true. Let's round out what we loved with our miscellaneous items in a rapid fire.
The ports, they were great. Embark, debark in those ports was fantastic, with one notable exception that we'll talk about.
Right. Terrazza Moda. What a gorgeous space. We loved the design of this space, both inside and out.
This is going to sound silly, but the new liquor check process when you're getting back on the ship from port, it's now automated. You no longer have to get all of those handwritten things. It's just on a tablet. Great ad, Carnival.
Yes. And the retractable roof. We loved that it was so nice to have climate control space in that Lido area. We'll talk a little bit more about this retractable roof in a little bit.
Yeah, we will. It was absolutely amazing getting to meet so many new friends, so many followers from this cruise life. Oh my gosh, thank you. Tom and Marcy and Raymond was on board, and we got to meet Mo and with family and tour their stateroom. We're not going to name everyone that we met because we met so many folks on this cruise. Several folks were wearing this cruise life merchandise when they boarded the ship. Mind blown moment. It absolutely just was phenomenal. It was amazing. Brandy was on board. Oh gosh, I don't want to leave anyone out. There were so many amazing new friends that we met on board as well.
That's true. And also the crew members. We got to see so many familiar faces from previous ships that we've sailed on. It was fantastic getting to those recognition moments when we got to see them, gave them a big hug, and we made so many new friends with the crew as well, and people that we look forward to sailing with in the future.
Yes, we know we will sail with them again. And of course, we sailed with dear friends. And so Brian and Christopher from Two Idiots, One Ship were on board. Raymond, I mentioned we've sailed with him before, was on board. Eddie, Monica, like we just sailed with a bunch of people that we've met on previous cruises or that we know outside of cruises, and it was so much fun.
It was. And then there were those fun, strange, quirky inaugural moments where we discovered a sign in the gift shop that listed the Carnival Venezia.
It was only up for a day until they realized it themselves, but the ribbon cutting, and it was just cool. Some of those things that you only get to experience with an inaugural sailing. Oh, I love what you're doing there. Hey, Carnival Firenze inaugural.
Inaugural season, I think.
I don't know why it says something there. It says something there. We'll talk about the giveaways here in a minute as well. The last thing that I will mention in the love section before we jump into what we didn't love and hated, and those are much smaller sections, I promise, but one of the things that I do think it's worth mentioning is we're torn on that Lido space. We are not big pool users up on Lido, and so that didn't impact us, but there is a lot of feedback out there in message boards, on the Facebook groups around that Lido space being tight and small on the Venice class of ships. That retractable roof that Rocky mentioned, it does cover the pool for a bit of the day, so the pool is in the shadows. There's not a ton of places to lay out on Lido, so if that is something that's important to you, keep that in mind with the ship.
And I think it's also important to note that if you do love to lay out, on deck 12, surrounding the pool area, there's tons of chairs.
Yep.
There's also lots of loungers down on deck 5, the wraparound deck going all the way to the forward of the ship, as well as all those forward spaces. They also have loungers.
So while it's a smaller Lido space, you don't run out of space on this ship.
Not at all.
Okay, let's jump into what we didn't love about the Carnival Firenze.
As Mark mentioned, this is a smaller list, so I'm going to start off with the silent disco. Now, unfortunately, this silent disco didn't really captivate us the way that other silent discos have. They had two DJs spinning. However, the music that they were playing wasn't really something that you can sing along to and really showcase your experience within the silent disco.
Dance and techno music. So people were just dancing with their headsets on. It was weird. Play me some YMCA.
Yeah.
Play me some Journey.
Right.
Play me stuff that you're going to hear people belting out, not just dance music. It was weird.
It was strange.
Yeah. We also did something new this time. We did the martini tasting at Amari Bar. We've never done that before, and so we're like, let's do it. We didn't love it. Honestly, it was oversold.
Yes.
There were multiple tiers of people. The people in the back couldn't hear. In fact, multiple people left mid-tasting. They're like, we're not doing this. We're not paying for this because we can't hear anything that's happening. And so the people at the bar, great view. And even at the bar, it was sometimes hard to hear. The Amari space is not great for acoustics. And so if you're thinking about doing the martini tasting, get there early. Dražen was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, he has great knowledge of drinks and manning a bar, but just overall, the experience wasn't great.
It's true. And then speaking of other drink activities that were not great, tea time in the main dining room was Not a great experience.
No.
The tea that we were served wasn't really hot. The food service was very hit or miss. It was tough to get food and try everything that we wanted to, and the quality was okay.
Presentation was terrible. Look at this cake tray. I mean, just not what we're used to. What we're used to on Carnival tea service, unfortunately, but not what we've experienced on other cruise lines.
Right. Didn't love that.
Something else that we didn't love about the stateroom was the lack of storage. There were 2 closets. Part of the closet was taken up by life jackets. Another part was taken up by the duvet cover.
Right.
We moved both of those under the bed right away, but just 2 closets. Now, I will say we were on the ship for 17 days, and so that probably had an impact on why we felt the storage was lackluster. If we were on for 5 days, it probably wouldn't have been near of an issue, but those closets were crammed for us.
That's very true. And let's talk about some of the food on board that we didn't particularly love.
Okay.
Starting with Pizzeria del Capitano. Now, don't get me wrong. The pizzas were great. It's what we've come to love and expect from a Carnival cruise ship.
Yep.
What we're disappointed in is there wasn't any specialty pizza that they've been introducing across the new Excel class ships. I was hoping for something more Italian, very mozzarella pizza or something along those lines.
Carnival, you added new burgers to Guy's Burger Joint, and you couldn't add an Italian pie to your pizza place? What a miss.
Yeah,
I mean,
big time.
Absolute miss.
Yeah.
I also didn't love, and y'all know this, I didn't love the meatballs at Il Mercato. I was very excited for this experience, and they got better. They got better. I recorded several updates because people asked. That was the #1 question we got on the cruises.
Oh, yeah.
They got better, but they still weren't great. The sandwiches were good. The hot dogs were great. Those meatballs, though, they were not my favorite item. We'll see if they stick around.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And then also, we were really disappointed that there was a charge for the empanadas. Empanada Pie is a new venue. It's not on any of the menus. It's not even in the app, so we couldn't really tell when it was going to be open. I think this is something they might be piloting on the Firenze, and that's why there was some lack of information. But we didn't love the fact that we would have to pay to experience those empanadas.
Now, don't get me wrong. We love the empanadas. We enjoy them on the Vista class. They're included in the buffet. I think they're so popular that Carnival said, hey, let's start charging for these things.
And speaking of the buffet, we just didn't love it in general. I mean, we don't usually find time to eat at the buffet anyway because there's so much other great food on the ship. But the buffet was just okay.
It was okay. So for all of you that read reviews saying the food on Carnival was terrible, and then you click in and they say, I only ate at the buffet the entire time, that's why.
Yeah.
Tomodoro is where it's at. Chicken shacks, breakfast shacks, all of those things that we talked about, what we loved in the food. Trust us, listen to us, and we are not going to steer you wrong.
That's true. And one more thing that we didn't love about the food was pasta bella. Now, this is an offering during Sea Days in the Medici restaurant.
Yep.
It was just not great. They make pasta, of course, and you would expect on an Italian ship for it to be really, really good. It wasn't.
It just wasn't. That's what we found on Venezia as well. The pastas are just okay. They were either underdone or they had sat under a warmer and just had cooked every single pasta that we had there, with the exception of maybe one or two across all of the times we went there and all of the people that were there.
Right.
Just wasn't great.
So not great. Didn't love it.
Now, this next one is going to be a little bit controversial. Carnival introduced a new space that we love called Moda. It's the Moda Terrazza area in the back of the ship. Love the vibe. It is so chic and modern and designer infused. It's super cool. A whole new unique bar menu. We love that space. But then the vibe there that Carnival creates, that's where they put karaoke. So you've got this cool elevated vibe, and then you've got people belting out karaoke tunes. They're treating it like the Havana space. They bring in a Latin band at night. Totally disconnected from what that space is, from what the bar menu is, from the design. I didn't love that. In fact, I borderline hated what they did to that space because it is such a unique space. If you want a Havana experience, create a Havana bar. Create another Havana bar.
Right.
Don't create Moda and create this entire experience and then put karaoke in there.
Agreed 100%. We also didn't love the fact that the sliding doors to get out to the Terrazza outdoor space never worked. From the day we boarded the ship, the one side was closed that very first day, and then by the time we got to the second sailing, neither of the sliding doors worked. Come on, it's a new ship.
17 days.
Right. And lastly, from the Moda space, their drinks were actually mostly tasty.
Mostly.
However, they muddied up some of them by adding some sugary confections to the tops of the drinks, and it really made it difficult to enjoy the beverages. We found several times now where we would order the drinks and ask for it without the confections at all.
Yeah, you get these little chunks of sugar in your teeth, or if they sat too long, they would become gummy in the drink. The flower drink, literally, you were picking flower petals out of your teeth. So, cruise tip, ask for your Moda drinks without the weird toppings that they add into them. They don't add to the drink. They look pretty.
Yeah.
I take that back.
They're Instagram worthy.
Yes, if you have Cheers, get it with them. Drink through it the first time, but then going forward, cruise tip, get them without the confections.
Right. Carrying through with what we didn't love about the entertainment, the after party for Dear Future Husband. It was not a great space that they hosted it in. It was in the Tuscan Lounge. Very small and cramped. It got very hot because they did a dance party. You couldn't see everything. Just not a great space. Move it to the atrium. Move it to the Lido decks where people can actually see it and experience it from other angles. And then something else that was introduced on the Venice-class is Festa Italiana. It sounds like so much fun. Well, I got to experience it on our first sailing, and I will tell you that I did not go back because of that experience. It was very long. The games that they played were fun, but they weren't really well designed for the crowds. They lasted too long, and then they ended the whole experience with little food bites and samples from Italy. Not great.
You heard me talk about this on the Venezia review. I didn't love Festa Italiana then, and I don't love it now. Now, I will say they took it from 3.5 hours down to about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, so they have cut out a lot of it. I still just didn't love that.
No.
And you could see people were bored.
Yes.
Literally, people on Lido were like, is this ever going to wrap up?
Right. So true.
Speaking of things that were also up on the Lido deck, I didn't love deck 11 where they put the ping pong tables. The only way to get up there, they put 2 ping pong tables, so you always had to cut through people battling ping pongs. The number of times I got hit by a ping pong. Now, thankfully, it didn't land in any of my food, not even once, or drink, but it was really annoying, the placement of those. Now, they removed all of the games because they put in Il Mercato,
Right.
so they had to make use of space somewhere to put some games, and where they put the ping pong tables, not a great location.
Not great. No.
Having just sailed the inaugural on Carnival Jubilee, where we got those cowboy hats and where we got the book, we were spoiled. The inaugural gifts for Firenze just kind of felt cheap. And they don't even say inaugural sailing, they say inaugural season. It's just a plastic pouch and really cheap plastic sunglasses. It just kind of let me down a little bit. I didn't love them. I'm appreciative. I will definitely wear these in the future. Don't you worry. I kind of got spoiled by the Jubilee, honestly.
I think they should have handed out masks so we could have all been prepared for the gala.
Yes, that's a
That
great
would have
idea.
been great.
Okay.
And something else that we didn't love was the smoking casino. Their filtration system needs some work in that space. It was very smoky very early on in the inaugural cruise. And unfortunately, that smoke also bled out a little bit into the atrium. Not great.
Now, I will say it was miles better than the Venezia, where the gift shop was a cloud of smoke. It is much better, but you are absolutely right, walking through, and there were a couple of days where you could smell the smoke outside. I am hopeful that they continue to amp up that filtration.
Yes, please. And lastly, of the things we didn't love was the disembark process at the end of the cruise. There were a lot of people that were trying to get off the ship because we were a little bit late getting into port. It caused chaos. Lots of people were gathered in the center atrium. People were sitting on the stairs, and they wouldn't move. We were trying to get through to the back-to-back lounge, and there was a challenge getting there because people were blocking the stairs.
I get it. People are frustrated, and they want to get off the ship, but just rude. I mean, honestly, it was not a great process. There should have been some manning or controlling of the staircases at a minimum. That's it. Those are the things we didn't love about our time on Carnival Firenze. Not a ton for 17 days on board the ship.
Right. With that said, there are a few things that we hated about the Carnival Firenze. Starting with the tender port of Cabo San Lucas. When we did our first sailing, it was a 7-night cruise. our tenders began service at 6:30 in the morning. That's right, 6:30 in the morning, and we had to be back on board by 1:45.
It just was like, why go? Nothing was open at that time. It was just really not a great port time. The other thing that happened that we hated, and Facebook lit up about this, were delays on the next cruises in Cabo. We were in port with Carnival Panorama. Panorama had a back on board time, and so all of the tenders went to that ship instead of coming to our ship. The entire deck one lined up with passengers. Joey finally had to say, we are stopping the tender process. Please do not head down to the gangways. We are stopping the operation altogether because of the number of people. It was actually a safety issue.
Yes.
People started chanting in the hallways, refund, writing John Heald. I get it. Delays happen. We tried to calm down people as we could, but we hated that experience.
Yeah.
We've heard from folks on this cruise that it hasn't gotten better in Catalina either. The water shuttle process hasn't gotten better. So again, inaugural season, first month of the ship going on. I know it will get better, but hated that first experience.
Totally agree. And while we were on the ship, we had several sea days where we got to enjoy several of the public spaces. Unfortunately, the chairs that they have in the outdoor spaces within Deck 11 that surrounds the Lido, as well as Deck 10, the cushions were very worn down. Not very comfortable to sit in just for a meal, let alone sit there and do other things like editing videos and...
I mean, look at this picture. Look!
Not great.
I get it. It's a used ship that they
Yes.
took on over, but it's only a year old.
Right.
I mean, it's not like it's even that old of a ship to have those cushions worn down so much.
Right.
Last thing that I hated, and I hate this about the Vista-class in general, the plastic Limelight Lounge bar that they wheel in each night. Why? Why, with the years that they've had Vista-class, they didn't make an update to this design? They wheel in a makeshift bar every night. It causes a huge backup along the entire back wall. One night we just said, screw it, we're not gonna get drinks.
Right.
And the problem is, that's the bar that's open now.
Yeah.
That's the late night bar. There is no casino bar, so you have to wait in that Limelight Lounge bar line, and it is miserable. The space, why they didn't fix that on Firenze, I hate it, and I hope that someone listens to this and takes note. I don't think they're going to change anything, but just keep that in mind.
Cruise tip: if you like beer, head up to the Pizzeria del Capitano. They have beer service available.
But that line was long too
It was.
late at night. I mean, so it just hate that. That's the extent, though, of what we hated.
That is all.
Across 17 days, there was so much we loved about this ship. There were some things we didn't love, and a couple things that we hated.
It's true.
Overall, it was amazing to be part of another inaugural sailing. It is the third inaugural sailing with Carnival Cruise Lines in less than a year that I've had the opportunity to be part of, and Rocky's first inaugural experience.
It was so much fun. It was great getting to see the ship sparkle and shine, and just how many changes they've made based on feedback from customers on previous sailings. It's so nice to see it.
And despite some noise that we experienced or heard about water shuttles or heard about anytime dining delays in the dining room, despite some of those glitches, I always say this, that's to be expected during an inaugural sailing. During the inaugural first month or two, there are going to be some bumps and bruises along the way.
Yep.
But how the staff and how the crew reacted and handled those, I was very impressed.
Yes.
Every single time there was an issue, the team took care of it and addressed it. And that's what you look for in an inaugural sailing and in a strong crew.
It's so true. What an experience. The memory will last me a lifetime.
Rocky, how many ships, I don't even think I need to ask you this, but how many ships would you give the Carnival Firenze?
Let's count them. 5. Yes, it was that great of an experience. I was so humbled to be part of the Carnival Firenze's inaugural launch. Such a beautiful ship. I think you are going to love it as well. Mark, what about you?
5 ships. I mean, yes, there were some dry meatballs that I tried, and yes, there were some challenges along the way. And yes, I get really worked up about that bar in Limelight Lounge, but I give this ship 5 stars. I think they took Venezia and they upped it a level. I really, really do. From the new venues, the new finishes, the new design touches, I absolutely stand by 5 ships, and I absolutely stand by the recommendation to book the Carnival Firenze for your next sailing.
That is great advice. Now, if you haven't done it already, please go check out our playlist dedicated to all things Carnival Firenze. We've got many different room tours that are out on the channel, as well as coming soon to the channel. We have more food reviews than you can count. It is a ton of Firenze content. If you have any questions about the Carnival Firenze, drop them in the comments below. We will respond to you.
Yes.
And if you haven't done it already, please give this video a thumbs up.
And I know you've clicked that subscribe button. I know you have. You're gonna help us reach our 2024 goals.
And smash that notification bell so that you can be made aware of any new content that's coming to our channel.
For everyone that's new to this journey, thank you for joining us. And for all of you who have been here since the start, we hope you enjoyed what we loved,
What we didn't love,
and what we hated
Hated.
about the Carnival Firenze.
that's right. We'll
Until
see you
next
soon.
time.